अस्सलामु अलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली औज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम फ़इन तल्लक़हा फ़ला तहिल्लु लहू मिन बअदु हत्ता तनकिहा ज़ौजन ग़ैरहू फ़इन तल्लक़हा फ़ला जुनाहा अलैहिमा अन यतराजआ इन ज़न्ना अन युक़ीमा हुदूदल्लाहि वतिलका हुदूदुल्लाहि युबय्यिनुहा लिक़ौमिन यअलमून. Okay, now this is the verse 230, and this is the continuation from last two verses in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about what is the procedure, and now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now here, he's talking about how about the final last divorce, the first one, and then menstruation, then the second one, and then the menstruation, and the third and final one. Okay, so now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if the final third one is done, then if talaqaha, he divorced her, means this is the final divorce, this he divorced her, fala, so there is no fala, then not tahillu, it is lawful, lahu, for him, now she is not lawful for him, min ba'd means after, hatta, until, after the final divorce, now she is not lawful for him. For whom? For the husband. Tankiha, until tankiha, she marries, zawjan, a spouse, ghayrahu, other than him, other than the previous one. فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا, then if he divorces her, fala, then there is no blame, alayhima, for both of them, and that yataraja'a, they both return in the marital relationship again, in zanna, if they both think, and that they both can establish or they both can keep the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Watilka, now see, now let me explain you in this way. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about the final divorce. Okay, now let's consider there is a person A and B, the wife B. Okay, now there was they both were husband and wife, and now they have divorced. Final divorce is done, this is the wife, and the final divorce is done. Now after final divorce, A is not lawful for B. Okay, now they are not lawful for each other. Okay, now but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, if B marries a person, for example C, okay, and then if C divorces her, if C divorces B, okay, then now this B can go back to A if she wants. Now then B can marry again A if they both think that they both can now keep the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they both can return, and they both will be able to behave in a proper way. So now they both can marry. Now you understood? Initially they were the first couple, they got divorced. Now the wife lady, she married another guy C, and they both are now couple. Then C divorces B, okay, then now B can now, the wife can now marry A, which is the previous husband. Okay, so this is the way it goes. Okay, so let me go back to so this is now, I hope now this verse will be more clear to you. Let's translate one more time. Then if talaqaha, he divorces her, means this A and B, A was husband, B was wife, he divorces her, then there is no, then not lost, no, then not tahillu, she is lawful lahu. Let me give you this thing. What is the tahillu? Lawful. Yeah, halal word is there. Fala, then not tahillu lawful lahum, for him. Then now she is not lawful for him. Mimbad, after this divorce, A is not lawful for B. They both are not lawful to each other. Hatta, until tankiha, she marries, means the B marries zawjan, a spouse other than him. Other than him means a spouse. Other than him means, for example, C. Until she marries C, غيره, other, a spouse, غيره, other than him means not A. For in, this who is for A, B, they were the first couple. Okay, for in, then if talaqaha, C divorces her, B. Now this talaqa, he divorces her, means C divorces B. Fala, then there is no blame, alayhima, for both of them. Now here hima belongs to B and A, both of them. Okay, now it is no blame upon both of them, that ayyataraja'a, they both return. See, this alif gives the sense of two. They both return. Raja'a will be its root word here. If zanna, they both think, they both, here they both is again B and A. Okay, then they both think that they both can keep the limits of Allah this time. Okay, watilka, and means they can keep the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means this time they will be able to manage the relationship, and this time there will be no dispute like earlier, so they can return. Watilka, and these are the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yubayyinuha, he explains it clearly. This ha is for the limits. Okay, every time ha is not for the B and A, B. He explains it clearly, li qawmin, for the people, ya'lamun, they all know, those who all know. I hope this verse is clear. Okay, so let's continue another. Let's go for the next verse. Wa iza talaqtum مسنساء فبلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو سرحوهن بمعروف ولا تمسكوهن ضرارا لتعتدوا ومن يفعل ذلك فقد ظلم نفسه ولا تتخذوا آيات الله هزوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم وما أنزل عليكم من الكتاب والحكمة يعظكم به واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بكل شيء عليم. Okay, وَإِذَا طَلَّقْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, now this was the case, that was the case. Okay, now it is over. Now again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving some instructions regarding the marriage, regarding the divorce. وَإِذَا, and when, oh, it's not working. Yeah. And when talaqtum, you have divorced the women, fabalagna, then they reached their period, means that third menstruation, that second menstruation and third final divorce. Then they reach their period. For amsikuhunna, then retain them in a fair manner or release them. Now this is this ajalahunna, sorry, earlier I said it was third. No, it is not third, it is for the second and the first one. Okay, if they reach their period, that is the first one, after this menstruation, then again the second one. So now they have reached their period, means now they are cleansed and ready, that now if you want, you divorce, or you want, you keep them. So you do not, now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here saying that whether you keep them in a fair manner or release them in a very, very fair manner, in a very good manner. Wala tumsikuhunna, and do not tumsikuhunna, you retain them to hurt, lita'atadu, so that you may transgress. Okay, do not you retain them to dirara. Let me check a very clear translation of word dirara. So that you may hurt them. Okay, hurt is the only translation here. dirara, to hurt, so that you may transgress. Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking, giving one more concept of the ill-minded people, that those people who just keep the relationship just to annoy the other person, the spouse. Okay, so now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this is kind of annoying, or it is kind of a hurt if you are just keeping her to annoy her or to make her put in more trouble. So you do not do that. Okay, in that case you will be the transgressor. The husbands will be the transgressors. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about, see, first, and then menstruation, then second. So here you are not giving them, and you want to keep her just to hurt her. So that you should not do. وَمَن يَفْعَلْ, and whosoever does that, فَقَدْ, then certainly, ظَلَمَ نَفْسَهُ, he has wronged himself. Wala, and not tattakhizu, you take the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in mockery or in jest or lightly. Do not take the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lightly. Lightly is just kind of an explanation for your just to make you understand. It is kind of, do not you take the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in mockery or in jest. Okay, let me check what is the actual translation of in jest only. Yeah. Waskuru ni'matallahi, and remember the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remember the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon you, and wama anzala alaykum, and what he sent down upon you from the book and the wisdom, and he guided you, and he instructs you, instruct is the better one, and he instructs you bihi, with it, with these verses. Wattaqullaha, he instructs you by it. Let me check for this. It also, is it also? Yeah, is when he instructs you with it. Yes. Wattaqullaha, and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that Allah of everything, he is all knower. Alim, he is all knower. Okay, Alim. Let's translate this verse again quickly. Fa'in, then if talaqaha, he divorces her, then there is not lawful for him. After, mimbad, after. Hatta, until tankiha, she marries a spouse other than him. Then if he divorces her, then there is no blame alayhima, upon both of them, that they both return if they both think that they can establish or they can keep the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He explains it clearly for the people who know. وَإِذَا, and when talaqtum, you have divorced the women, فَبَلَغْنَا, then they reach their term, then retain them in a fair manner or release them in a fair manner, and do not you retain them just to hurt them, لِتَعْتَدُوا, so that you may transgress. وَمَن يَفْعَلْ, and whosoever does that, فَقَدْ, certainly he wronged himself. And not you take the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in jest. Waskuru, and remember the favors of Allah upon you, and what he revealed upon you from the book. Wal hikmah, and the wisdom, he admonishes you with it, or he instructs you with it. And fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over everything, he is all knower. Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.